Hello everyone, this is Jimmy and welcome to episode 13 of Project Ozone 3. I had already recorded about maybe a third of this episode when I realized that I had my OBS configured wrong and that I was recording a blank screen and only my voice. So this suddenly exists and you don't get to see how I built it. But let me walk you through what actually happened in the last half hour, hour-ish of lost recording. First of all, I built a powered spawner. It's spawning zombies. I tried to make it do villagers because I think villagers are better than zombies for purpose of drawing their blood, but villagers are blacklisted from the powered spawner. So zombies it is. That's okay. Later, when we switch to using the rituals to kill the mobs, we'll switch this once again over to a different mob type. But I'll leave what mob it is secret for now. I also made some of these energy conduits. They were quite the annoying recipe because to make energy conduits, you need to make electrum energy conduits, which take silver, you get the point. So you have to start all the way down at crude steel and work your way up. And I'm only at enhanced. There's still like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more tiers should we be interested in that. But for now, this will do. Because with this very good loot capacitor only draws 4,000 RF a tick. Now, you can see it's all lit up in here, and that's fine because the mobs are being spawned from the spawner, and I just don't want other mobs spawning in here. So, let's see, what else have we missed? Alright, the reason I wanted to use these energy conduits is because I wanted to run both the control signal, the redstone signal, and the power through the same block space to the spawner. So if we turn on view range on the spawner, we can see that this room just, perfectly encapsulates the entire spawn space. That way, we get a maximum number of mob spawns. So it can be turned on or off with this lever, but I don't want it to spawn yet because there's one more thing we need. Right now, when the mobs spawn, they'll stand, anywhere in this room, right? We just need to fill it up with vector plates so that the mobs get pushed to the middle. And there we go. We now have the entire floor covered in vector plates, so when we turn on the spawner, I expect that it'll start filling the room with mobs, and as you can see, all the mobs get pushed down to the very bottom there, which also gets rid of the too many mobs notification there because the mobs are not in the spawn space. So all we have to do is take our dagger of sacrifice and stand here and just spam left click. And each, because they're being fed to the blood altar, right, the mobs get instantly one-shotted. So we can turn on our auto feed and maybe turn down our audio a little bit. Jeez, they're loud. Where is that? Music and sounds, hostile creatures, 1%. Much better. So then we just have to poke all the mobs to death. Now, unfortunately, we can't use a mechanical user to kill the zombies, or kill the mobs in general. The mobs have to be killed by a player, like an actual player, not a mechanical user, fake player. We can try to stand back a little so we don't get flooded by all the drops, but they'll somewhat inevitably work their way into our inventory. Maybe we can set up a system that'll automatically pick all this loot up and probably just void it. I see no reason to, hang on to any of this. Anyways, let's, for the time being, let's dump all this stuff over the edge. Loot. And clean our inventory up. So with regards to the mob loot cluttering our inventory, I was initially going to set up a loot system here where we put all the stuff we want into drawers and the stuff we don't want into a trash can. But I thought, why reinvent the wheel? We already have a loot system. So I just set up an ender chest here with an item collector, and it's linked to our drawer system here. And I used a concealment key to hide all the labels because I think it does provide a small FPS increase. Because by frame rate right now, at times it's getting less than 60. So you can see there just the difference between showing and hiding them is like 20% frame rate. Obviously, if I have to, look for a specific item, I'll probably turn them on to look for it. But just for that small performance increase, I'm temporarily hiding the items. So with that, the loot should mostly be taken care of. As you can see, if I step away for too long, the mobs build up here a little bit and then they start suffocating each other. So that's kind of how this avoids getting too out of hand. And apparently something in there can hit me from time to time. But anyways, that fills up our blood altar quite nicely, actually. So I'm going to do this for a bit and make a bunch of tier 1 and tier 2. And then we can go from there. So the next thing we have to do is upgrade our altar here from tier, I believe it's tier 3 right now. If we can check with our Divination Sigil, to tier 4. So a tier 4 altar requires filling the next layer in with runes. Any rune can be blank runes for no effect, or a rune that has some effect. And we have to replace these blocks of redstone with large bloodstone bricks. So that's a dawnstone block, that's fine. Syrian crystal, those are easy to make, and weak blood shard. Weak blood shards, though, require a bit more blood magic to make. So weak blood shards are dropped when mobs are killed with I think it's a bound blade? Yeah, with a bound blade. So, sorry about the cough, I'm feeling just a little bit under the weather. But, anyways, a bound blade is made, again, with this binding reagent and a minimum 400 will Tartaric gem, right? That's our bottleneck to make it. So I think now that we have a blood altar, though, we can upgrade our Tartaric gems that we already have. So let's see. We have lesser gems right now. And a lesser gem, let's see, what does it take to make it into a common gem? A common gem takes an imbued slate, which is a tier 3 slate. Okay, but since we have a tier 3 altar, let's make some of those. So let's just take the reinforced slate off our filter, and this will keep crafting up until it becomes the imbued slate. Let's see that. I forget what color it is. So red is blank slate. And maybe before we actually upgrade too much more, we should upgrade our runes, because this crafting is taking a while now. There's upgrades to, again, make it faster or to increase our capacity, so I can, kill the mobs once and step away for a little bit. But first, let's make a couple of these slates. So I think this is it. A imbued slate, yep. So let's add that to our filter and store them in the crate, or the drawer. Cool. So now that we have one imbued slate, let's get a small handful, maybe 3 or 4 of them, and then we can upgrade our Tartaric gems. Time to do our gem upgrades. So I think a lesser gem holds up to 256, and a common gem holds up to 1000 and change, which is, incidentally, more than 400. So once we have whoopsies, this might not have enough will in it. So anyways, let me go refill our gems a few times until we have 3 common gems, and get one of them filled up at least to 400 so that we can craft that binding reagent. So now that we have a mob farm just dumping mobs right here into one spot, I can just stand here, hold right click, sweep my mouse back and forth, and this should fill up my gems in no time at all. Nice. At least I think that works, right? Yeah, perfect. So this is much faster than going to the hunting dimension. So to craft our, I already forgot what it's called, our binding reagent, we have our common gem filled up. That makes that. Then we just have to use the arcane ashes again. Right click it on the ground to start the process. Right click a binding reagent on it. Ooh, it's a big circle. And then right click a diamond sword on that. And this should spit us a bound blade. There we go. So the bound blade has 2 states. When you shift right click it, you can toggle it between active and inactive. And I think when it's active, it slowly drains your life essence. We have 780 now. If we activate it, we should see, maybe it's when you hit, there you go, it drained to 760, and it'll drain a little bit more. So in order to use it, we have to charge our blood network thingy, and that's done by putting our blood orb into the blood altar. So as that charges, now we'll see that number going up. So yeah, that'll put a couple thousand life essence into it, which is good enough. So let's turn our spawner back on. And then once some mobs drop down, we can kill them now with our bound blade. Let's kill, I don't know, maybe like a dozen mobs. That should be enough to, quite likely anyways, get a blood shard as a drop. And I think I actually just saw one there. So let's say that's enough for now. So those drops would have all been sent over here. Whoops, looks like we didn't get any. Let me kill a few more mobs then. There you go. There's one weak blood shard. Oh, two weak blood shards. Just so you know, all the drops are coming into this ender chest, which are getting piped into here. So now with two weak blood shards, we can make, I think that's what we want. Yeah, large bloodstone tiles. Where's the large bloodstone brick? Are they different? No, they're the same. Okay, so we just need to make a couple blocks of dawnstone and a couple searing crystals, and we have enough. Cool. Alright, with 28 more blank runes and our large bloodstone tiles, I think we're ready to upgrade our altar to tier 4. So again, first you have to swap all these placeholder blocks for runes. Do that. I do love me the exchanging gadget. And lastly, we have to replace these redstone blocks, which I place as placeholders, with these large bloodstone tiles. And once we do this, the altar should register as a tier 4 altar. And there it goes, current tier 4. That means we can do tier 4 recipes. The big one I think that allows is, oh wow, we have a lot of quests complete. The Ritual Diviner. Let's see, the Ritual Diviner is made from these 4 inscription tools. Oh, these are actually only tier 3. But I think the Dust Ritual Diviner is actually the one we want, which requires, yeah, a tier 4 altar. I think it also allows us to make the Master Ritual Stone, because that requires at least, I guess, a tier 3 blood orb. Anyways, my point is we can now get into blood magic rituals. So if we pull our blood magic book out, did I just never make one? So it's called, right? There it is. The book can tell us a bit more about rituals. So rituals are, let's see, you need an activation crystal to start them. All right. And this is a list of all the rituals. So some of these are actually pretty interesting, like Serenade of the Nether produces well, there's a lot of text, but basically it produces a constant stream of lava. Ritual of the Green Grove causes plants to grow very quickly. And there's a bunch of interesting ones in here. But the one that I'm most interested in is the Well of Suffering right now. So the Well of Suffering causes mobs in a 10 block radius around it, or causes mobs around it to take damage. And when that damage occurs, it places the blood into a nearby altar. So I guess it has a 10 block range, and this is a range, 5 blocks horizontally, 10 blocks vertically to find an altar. So the Well of Suffering is ideal for automating blood magic, right? Because it automates the production of this life essence. We don't have to sit here poking zombies with our dagger anymore. The other ritual I think that's somewhat related, that's also helpful, is the Ritual of Regeneration. This gives a regenerative effect to all entities around the around the ritual, including hostile mobs. So the point is that the well of suffering damages them, and the ritual of regeneration heals them. Now, actually, I have a plan that might not even need the ritual of regeneration, but I think the way that these two rituals are designed, they're kind of meant to be used together. So we'll see if we end up setting them both up. But let's go about tackling rituals next, which means we need to craft the ritual stone and the activation crystal. That doesn't look too bad. A master ritual stone, which we need one per ritual we do, so we need like at least two of these. Is this made from obsidian and reinforced slates, which are tier 2 slates? So let's start by making up a significant batch of tier 2 slates, because each master, or in addition to a master ritual stone, each ritual will consume, I estimate, like 50 to 100 regular ritual stones, which are also ones reinforced slate each. So we're going to need quite a few of them. I'm a pretty impatient person, so let's speed up our crafting a little by replacing 8 blank runes with 8 speed runes. So this should be as simple as, let's see, grab our exchanging gadget again. And let's, whoopsies, that stole my rune. And we'll swap these 8, but let's go get that rune back first. That's the one downside of using item pickup to steal these items. Every now and then the stuff you want gets pulled away. Anyways, let's swap these. Once again, causing all of our levers to pop off. And now we should notice an observable increase in crafting speed. Let's see if we can tell. Why is it not crafting? Am I out of... No, I'm not out of these. Oh, what's going on here? It looks like it's crafting because life essence is getting used up, right? It might just be instantly crafting. I think that's what's happening. No? Why is this not feeding items? 1 second. Herp derp. I forgot to put our comparator back. Without the comparator, the redstone signal is broken, and thus the thing never starts inserting new runes. Alright, so now that we're inserting runes again, let's see if the crafting is considerably faster. I guess it's tough to tell since we're only making tier 1 and tier 2 runes right now, but I think it's faster. If each speed rune is 20%, then 8 of them should be 160%, so it's a little over twice as fast, almost 3 times as fast. Oh, I'm hitting them with the wrong dagger, aren't I? Huh. Anyways, with that, our runes should craft much faster, which should, oh yeah, it's using up blood as fast as I can, refill the blood altar. Sweet. And I guess if we're on the topic of altar upgrades, let's also make some rune of capacities. So these increase the total amount of blood that our altar can hold. Right now it's at 10,000, and I think each one increases it by maybe 2,000. I think let's make 10 of them, because conveniently we can. The next row has sides that are 5 long each. So let's do this. And we can replace 2 edges here. You and you will replace. And now our altar should have increased capacity. There we go, now it's 30,000 capacity. Ultimately, that's mostly just a small quality of life change. We don't get any more blood per mob, but it means that once I fill the altar up, I don't have, I can stop hitting mobs for like 30 seconds instead of 5 seconds and let a little bit of crafting happen. There are some other reasons why capacity matters, but I think it's a bit too complicated to discuss right now. Alright, and then the next one we can do are Runes of Sacrifice. So let's once again, that takes, what's the lowest tier blood orb that takes? Can I do it with, yeah, okay, we can do it with a tier 2 blood orb. Let's see. Alright, let's make 10 of these as well. No, it doesn't like my blood orb? I don't understand. Why can't I craft any? Reinforced slates. I have enough. Give me a second to figure out why I can't craft these. Alright, I think that was it. Because I had the weak blood orb in my inventory, it was trying to use that, thinking that it was a valid substitute. Because I think the blood orbs all have the same item ID. They have different MBT data. So, anyways, now that we have Runes of Sacrifice, we can swap these in. Now, these I think are actually pretty important to have a fair number of. So while we'll only have 10 for now, we still have, all of this row, and actually we can start utilizing this next layer too, because we already have the beacons, the capstone block. So yeah, this layer is capped by beacons, and the last layer is capped by another blood magic block that we don't have access to yet. So anyways, now as we poke stuff, they should give us, I think it's 10% more life essence per rune of sacrifice. So with 10 of them, they give double blood. Cool. So I think I'll go ahead and finish doing our altar upgrades. Maybe I'll do some sacrifice and some speed, I'm thinking. Sounds good. And with that, our altar upgrades are done, at least for the time being. So now that we have a much faster, holds more blood, and we get more blood per kill in our altar, let's finally get around to those rituals. Just a quick aside, you can also upgrade your Divination Sigil in the Hellfire Forge to a... whoops. That's a site reagent. We need a reinforced slate. Alright. 1 second. To a... Anyways, to a Seer's Sigil. And a Seer's Sigil tells you a bit more about your blood altar. And it starts to get a little technical, but let me show you. So it still has all the functions of the Divination Sigil. It tells you your current life essence. But when you look over your altar, you see that it has a couple more values. Let's see, current progress and current charge, which I think tells you how the current craft is progressing. And I thought it also told you something about the internal buffers. I think it actually shows that on the right side of the screen, underneath the or the left side, sorry, underneath like my jetpack info and my dimension info. It's a little hard to see. I don't actually know how to move those labels. Anyways, it's not important yet, but later, if we want to do some stuff with multiple blood altars, those will be important numbers to keep in mind. So I just want to mention that it's usually a good idea to go ahead and upgrade your Divination Sigil to a Seer's Sigils. So, with at least a stack of ritual stones, your weak activation crystal, your master activation or master ritual stone, and your ritual diviner, I think we're ready to start the ritual stuff. Now, you want to make sure you have all this stuff ready before you begin, because the first step is to tear down your mob system here. And that's because the rituals are going to occupy that same space. So, oh dear, I forgot to turn... Stop. I forgot to turn that off. Alright, let's just let those zombies burn to death. Maybe we'll help them out by shooting them a little bit. Whoopsies. Alright, so now that we've ripped that out, let's, I'll let's see, what can I leave? I'll get rid of the glass and the glowstone, I think. And I'll leave the wiring for now, because it might not get in the way. Alright, so what we have to do then is... get rid of this too. Alright. So we want to start by placing our Master Ritual Stone about 3 blocks, I'd say, above the altar. So let's actually just make it exactly, or I guess 4 blocks above should do. And I know we're going to have to get rid of this wire because it's definitely in the way. So then what we want to do after placing the Master Ritual Stone is take our Ritual Diviner and set it to the right ritual, which in this case is... I already forgot what it's called. I'll know when we get there. Maybe. Well of Suffering. There we go. And once we have it set and hold the diviner over the ritual stone, it'll tell us, where the blocks that will be placed go. Take a quick look, make sure we're not blocking any of them with our wires or anything, which doesn't appear to be the case. And then just right-click it, or keep right-clicking it. Hold right-click on the Master Ritual Stone, and it'll place all of these individual ritual stones. Technically, you do not need the Ritual Diviner to do this. You can just place the blocks yourself, and then color them yourself with the elemental inscription tools. That sounds like insanity to me, if we're being honest. So this is a Well of Suffering. Now, it's not active yet, because to activate it, we have to take our weak activation crystal and right-click it. But before we do that, let's take a look at something. Right now in our Essence network, we have just under 150,000. I think this will cost 50,000. So that's why you want to fill your Essence network before you tear down the system you had already. So when you activate it, you get that text, a rush of energy flows through the ritual, and we should see that it's gone down by about 40,000. So I guess it only costs 40,000 to activate. Cool. Now let's build one more ritual on top of it. So put our other Master Ritual Stone down and set our Ritual Diviner to Ritual of Regeneration. Let's see. So yeah, I think if you put the Ritual of Regeneration directly above your Well of Suffering, the blocks won't interfere at all. And there we go. We had 8 ritual stones to spare. Perfect. So once again, we have to activate the ritual, which will cost a little bit of life essence. Cool. So now that we have that, we have this platform-like thing with a bunch of holes. Let's take a look at the... Let's see. Let's set that to never active and show the range of this spawner. Alright, so I think this is at a fine height. We just have to build a floor out for the mobs to stand on. Oh, and before we do that, let's actually swap this from spawning zombies to something else. I prefer, in this stage, to spawn witches. And that's because witches have they do a thing when they're hurt that they throw splash regeneration potions at each other, which will cause them to basically not die. Which means we have to spend less energy spawning them. So let's go ahead and change this zombie spawner over to a witch spawner. Alright, I went and upgraded our spawner to a witch spawner. Now there's one small problem with this. Witch spawners use a lot of RF. And with this capacitor in there, it uses 20,000 a tick, which is more than our cable can supply for now. But I think that's fine, because what will happen is once it reaches the spawn limit, I think it has like a 8 or 15 mob spawn limit in the area around it, it'll just turn itself off, which is a good safety feature. It prevents it from accidentally spawning in 1,000 mobs and crashing the server. So you can see the spawn range is entirely enclosed in our structure. And I built it out of glass so we can actually see what's going on inside. So it should be flip this switch to turn the spawner on. And we should start getting some witches. Then we should flip, let's see, I think off is ritual on. So right now our ritual should be running. Or is it on to turn on the ritual? Hold on. Why are we not getting life essence? Huh. 1 second. Maybe we just have to activate the ritual again? Let's see if that works. You feel the runes are not configured correctly. I suspect what happened then must be that when I placed the second ritual, they must have overlapped in a way that didn't work. Let's I have an idea. Let's regenerate the Well of Suffering with our Ritual Diviner. Alright, so I clicked on the Master Ritual Stone for the Well of Suffering until it stopped working, and then I clicked this again, and that activated the ritual once again, which should have taken a bit more LP from our network. Indeed it did. Currently deactivated. Okay, there we go. So the tooltip says it's for the Well of Suffering. It's currently deactivated because it has a redstone signal. So I turn it on, and now it's active. And now it's automatically filling our blood altar by dealing damage to these witches. And you see the witches are staying at full health because they're throwing splash healing potions on each other. I think in addition... Okay, yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and guess that I was wrong when I said the regeneration ritual goes above the Well of Suffering. I actually think it might have to go below. I think a couple of the blocks are shared between, like if you put it above, a couple of the blocks are shared, so you can't run them both at the same time. But it doesn't look like we need the ritual of regeneration anyways. So once we have this ritual set up, it looks kind of neat to look up at them, but our blood altar will be automatically filled with life essence as it drains. So you see here, as it crafts, it takes some of the life essence away, and when the craft completes, it gets refilled. So what we can do then is just automatically set up a system where, as long as this is supplied with inscription tiles, it'll be crafting, the various slates for us. Now, we still don't quite have a way to batch manufacture, from huge numbers of inscription tiles yet. We'll work on that. And let's see, there was one more thing I wanted to mention really quickly, but I forgot it, so I guess it can't be all that important. Oh yeah, I remember now. It's while the Well of Suffering is running, it drains a little bit of essence from your essence network, right? Because I'm the one that activated it, or I'm the owner, then I'm the one that pays that price. What happens is, if I happen to run out of essence, instead of draining, LP, which it doesn't have, it actually just it directly deals damage to me, and it applies some debuffs like nausea, blindness, mining fatigue, particularly nasty debuffs sometimes. So it's pretty important to not let your essence run out while you're running rituals. So what you can do is, just from time to time, because it doesn't take all that much time, take your blood orb, the highest tier blood orb you have, and place it in your blood altar, and the altar will, fill your blood orb. And this process of the Well of Suffering, it generates significantly more LP than it uses. So once I place my blood orb in there, it'll, just fill up, and it'll maybe take like an hour to fill to completion. But once it's full, it'll last for, multiple days. And one thing we can do if we want to get really deep into blood magic is set up a second altar whose sole purpose is to keep my blood orb, filled up. So anyways, I'm going to leave that in there for a while to fill my LP network. And for now, I think I'm going to wrap up this episode. We got pretty far into blood magic. I think far enough now that we can shift gears and go back to Botania and its rune crafting, maybe? That'd be exciting. Right, because these runes, now that we have we can make both blood magic slates and Lordcraft runes. We can start getting into Botania runes. Cool. So, yeah, I'm sorry, this episode felt a little all over the place, especially at the beginning where I lost some footage. So, thanks for, bearing with me here. I hope you liked this episode, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.